It's Clavicular's world. It's a live stream world. We're just living in it. Adam Faze joins the show. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
Doing great.
When we think about like the attention and the lack of monoculture moments, if Jack and I live together, we work together, we do everything together, but sometimes our algorithms are different. As similar as we are, I might miss some things that he's seeing, and vice versa as well. But there are these few things that come up kind of above the water, above the line here, like the Looksmaxxing stuff that we're seeing all over the place here. Can you speak to like the differences, the nuances, the importance of understanding different algorithms, and then how some things kind of rise above?
Do we need to back up at all for anyone watching about what Looksmaxxing is? Or?
I was literally gonna be like, Adam, before we get into that, I mean, there's people that maybe don't know. I want to hear your take on this. Like, explain to everyone the phenomenon that has unfolded in the last 2 weeks. Looksmaxxing, frame mugging, clavicular. Just like, what's your take on it?
Look. Case in point to like the feed that you're on. Like, I had been watching this clavicular kid for the last 4 months, and I think it really just depends on what point does it break into your side of the feed. But there's this 20-year-old kid named Clavicular. He's a figure in the Looksmaxxing community. It's a community of men who want to make themselves as attractive as humanly possible. They think that the ultimate goal in life is to make yourself attractive because your life will be better as a result. Now, Clavicular has taken that to an all-new level where he's known for bone smashing, where he takes a hammer to his cheekbones to shape his cheeks. He references a law that I don't think really exists. It's called Wolff's Law. That says when you break a bone, it comes back stronger. But he also supposedly takes meth to suppress his appetite and takes so much steroids that he's infertile at the age of 20 years old. But he is a live streamer, and he has gotten particularly famous in, I think, the adult circles for the first time because he's the first live streamer who's like going to clubs and live streaming at clubs and drinking and doing drugs. And I think it's captured the attention of a lot of people. But I think to even understand why are we watching something like this in the first place, a lot of people listening to this might think, I don't watch live content. I don't really know where I would watch live content. How would that make its way onto my feed? The reality is we're consuming more short form content every single year. It's sort of like our addiction as humans in the 21st century. The way that most people had been producing short form content, whether it was iPhone user generated content or it was, original content like the ones that we make at Gymnasium, it's not enough for our hunger for daily short form content. And so where we're on this path towards right now is the only thing that feeds that hunger. It was two things. One is AI. The other is live streaming, because when someone's live for 8 hours at a time, there are thousands of clips that come out of that daily live stream that can attack your algorithm from thousands of different accounts, usually coming from their fans, who are probably teenagers. And so I think that we are evolving into a sort of new timeline in these short form algorithms where it might be becoming less of a space for original content and more of just how much shit can you throw at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, because there is a sense of like the algorithm is a little bit of a lottery, and the more tickets, the more stubs you have for the lottery, the better chances are that your thing's going to take off. And I think that's the most fascinating thing to me about this live streaming culture and the live streamification of it taking over. Is to that point, Adam, is like, I don't think people realize that there's probably like at this point thousands of accounts who are posting thousands of clips every single day from these live streams.
Yes.
And that's the thing that I think people are like, you almost feel this sense of like doomsday, like, holy shit, where is this, where does it end? And so I'm curious your thought on that as someone who has, produced and created the short form social content that has been viral for years. Where are we heading, and does it concern you of the current state that we're at?
To answer the first part, I think we are in a post-platform world. I think the way that we still view these social media accounts, where all of us have this goal of like, we just need to grow our one account to a certain size following because that with the blue check mark means that we've made it. And the reality is that's not how you're going to be most successful in these platforms anymore. The idea is how many accounts can you possibly have? How many pieces of content can you be uploading at the same time? You want to be able to hack into someone's feed regardless of who they are or where they are. And so I think that we all have to sort of evolve our thinking in terms of how we use these platforms in the first place. Some of the biggest live streamers, by the way, Clavicular included, who, again, if for anyone that hasn't heard of him at this point, He is on Google right now, trending as high as Timothée Chalamet and higher than Kylie Jenner. So this has broken into the mainstream. This is someone who streams daily on Kick. Kick is not Twitch. It's not YouTube. It's not the #1 place destination to watch this type of content. That said, he has a core audience, I would say between 16 and probably 25,000 people that watch him on a nightly basis. Part of that audience are a clipping crowd that then immediately are clipping with the content they're consuming on these platforms. So it doesn't matter if you're watching it on Kick or not. You're probably consuming it in the form of clips on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And it's probably making its way onto its feed, even if you follow no one that has anything to do with this type of content. I think one of the interesting ways to explain this is, like, I had the opportunity of working with iShow Speed last fall on his, like, America tour. And even more recently, he just did a tour in Africa where he was filming himself basically on the greatest vacation of all time, where every country he explores, he gets to meet the most interesting people and do the most interesting things. Now, that content has a live audience of, at any point, around 80,000 people live, which compared to live television is not that many people, but for live streaming, it's a lot. Those 80,000 people that are watching live is enough to have enough of a clipping crowd where, on average, when he's live these days, he's generating 1 billion views a day organically. 1 billion views a day. So it's a brand new world. And I think that, we have been watching live streamers for a very long time as these kids who sort of sit in their bedrooms playing video games. IRL streaming is a whole new version of this. And I think the easiest way to understand it is almost as, these playable characters in an open world video game. But the video game that they're playing is the world that we live in. Someone was watching the speed stream when we were working on it and saying, I think the most interesting thing is that it's not that he lives in the Truman Show, it's that he turned our world into the Truman Show. And I think when you think about it, this is the highest form of reality television we've ever had. It's just real life.
It's crazy. That's the thing too. Like, you talk about another thing that is potentially problematic. Speed is an example of someone who's done a really good job of, like what you said, he's on the greatest vacation ever. That's one form of reality TV. What worries me about the Clavicular side of things is that he's a playable character. He's the most problematic playable character that gets rewarded when he does something that's like negative, detrimental to society, honestly. Yeah. And that is another way, and it's like you're hacking and you're like promoting or you're encouraging people now that if you go on live stream and you break the law on live, it's probably going to go viral and you'll get 1 billion views. So you're like, holy shit, you could run into some serious issues of like some copycat kind of streamers, which to me makes it seem like I would be curious to hear your take on how brands or marketers should be getting involved with this live streaming if that's where all the attention, or where billions of views are going daily.
So I think there's two sides of this coin in terms of like where are we going from here. I think one side of it, and I watched this with Speed. Like, look, social media is inherently populist. You are all of us are trying to have as high of engagement as possible. We want the most likes, the most comments, the most shares. So that means you're probably going to do things that you want, that the audience wants you to do. I think there's no coincidence that we find ourselves in a populist political movement in this country for the first time in our nation's history at the same time that we're dealing with populist social media platforms. Live streaming is the highest form of populism. You're not just waiting for your video to come out to see what the comments are telling you. The comments are in your chat live, telling you if they like what you are doing or you're not doing. If Speed is doing something that his audience does not like, they're going to spam the chat with a bunch of L's, and he's going to leave the room from whatever he's doing, no matter how incredible the opportunity is, because his live audience is his ratings, and the ratings are not good for that very moment. So it's very populist, and I think in watching any of these creators, I definitely see like what the next version of our political system probably looks like. The other side of this is for anyone who has a problem with what they're watching when they're watching Clavicular. I think the reason I'm actually very interested in what this does to our culture is I think he's actually like a Frankenstein monster that the adults in the room created. This is what 20 years of social media does to a young brain that only knows a world that you should get the highest amount of engagement possible. This is the only thing he knows. He's 20, he's a child. And I think on top of that, you have now the combination of what algorithm brain does to you, on top of also 20 years of brands telling you that you're not good enough, that you need to buy certain products to make yourself look better. So I think he is just sort of this Frankenstein monster that's come to life that is like the direct representation of everything wrong with our current era in society.
Gino,
Wow.
Thoughts?
I'm blown away. I mean, this is insane for me to learn. I had a really stupid question. And if I'm thinking about it, I know our listeners are probably thinking about it too. The clippers. You said on these streams, like there's people that will clip these videos. What's the benefit to them or the AI agents? Who's doing all the clipping and creating the extra content?
So there are a few really influential clippers in this space, and they've been able to build companies that make now millions of dollars in revenue. And the reason why is that they have these Discord servers that have thousands, if not tens of thousands, of likely teenage clippers who both are interested in and are fans of the people that they are clipping. But on top of that, they're rewarded for virality. So they actually do not get paid unless they get a minimum of 1 million views on a video. And the average is around $100 per million view video. Usually what ends up happening is there's like a bounty that's placed on, say, hey, this musician has a new album coming out. We want to make this album viral on these platforms. And again, we have a $50,000 bounty available for the kids who are able to make this content viral. At this point, if anything is really dominating your feed, you should probably think that there was money spent on making that thing viral in your feed in the first place. But I will say that the average age of one of these clippers is probably around 15 or 16 years old. They're probably somewhere around the country. And I think they have a lot of free time. And again, they're interested in the content that they're clipping, but also could use some extra cash in their pocket.
It's like I saw something, I don't remember the percentage, but it was a percentage that, this is very helpful for the people watching. It was a percentage that like shocked me, but a certain amount of, like teenagers have a digital side hustle, which essentially to me sounds like, clipping and doing that. And like, it's wild to me. And I think it feels like something, Adam, that hasn't, it's a unspoken thing. Like people aren't talking about it as publicly as they should, given the impact that these like clip farms or these Discord channels, the influence that they have on culture. And so it is shocking to me. Do you think that's going to change? That's my last question. That's where I'll leave it. But moving forward, do you think that this is going to be something that brands wake up to? And now these brands are going to be like pushing out thousands of clippers about a new campaign that they're working on.
I think the question is, you can have 1 million kids clipping your content, but if your content can't be viral on its own, it's not going to matter how many clips you generate from it. So the question is always going to be like, what is the most entertaining piece of underlying content that then an audience is going to have a better time being able to clip in a very successful way? So I think it does still go back to like, what is the entertainment at the end of the day? The other thing is, my belief is that anytime a secret is found about how to break the algorithm, people usually do it so much that they end up making that thing not possible anymore. And so I wouldn't say that I believe that, the current system of clipping is going to continue to exist for the next 3-4 years. I think these platforms are getting pretty smart to already like how to avoid some of these tricks. And so I do still think, especially in a world where you would probably know the stat better than me, Jack, but not just the percentage of kids that have side hustles, but the amount of kids that want to be content creators. When in a world where every single person on earth is creating content, which is sort of the world that we're racing towards, the knowing how to tell a story and having sort of that star power to be someone that people want to watch on camera becomes the most important thing ever. And so I think this is probably where I'll leave on an optimistic note, is good storytelling matters, good entertainment matters, and that's always going to be the biggest secret to breaking the algorithm, because it's just timeless. There's nothing that can really change that.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Faze.
What a pleasure. That was fantastic.
Wow.
Legend.
Thank you so much.
Legend.
Thank you for having me.